Hello, it's Sister Kirsten welcoming you to Crusaders Online. What is that? Well, we're all about to begin a new experience, and what we're really finding is a new adventure. And that is the process of continuing the quality education that Catholic High has promised to give your child or your children, but using a new format or a new mode of doing that, delivering it from a distance, which of course the situation and the conditions in our country and our world have called for. First and foremost, I want to assure you that we are remembering each of you and your families in our prayers daily. And we would love for you to use a prayer that we are going to use with the students daily, that you could say at any time, especially in moments of fear, concern, frustration. And those prayers are focusing on the reality that we are loved by a God who created us and who holds us in the palm of His hand at all times. The prayer that we start with is, Sacred Heart of Jesus, I place my trust in you. Secondly, Sacred Heart of Jesus, I believe in your love for me. To pray those whenever you find yourself needing to call upon the Lord for help, for support, in moments of concern or fear or frustration or anger. The Sacred Heart of Jesus is the symbol of a God whose heart is so filled with love for us that there is never a reason for us to be afraid. And therefore, when we call upon Him as the Sacred Heart of Jesus, we're saying to Him, I know you love me fully. I know you love me without abandon. I know that you hold me in the palm of your hand, in the center of your heart. I know that I am in great hands because they're the hands of God. And I call upon you to give me the ability to trust in you, and I express my belief in your love for me. So we'll be using those prayers with your children daily, and we hope that they will give you and them continued confidence and peace in the midst of a rather tumultuous world which is very uncertain, and of course a world in which the future is very unknown. Our goal is to continue life as normally as we can for your children from a distance, to help support them, encourage them, have fun with them. All the things that we do daily with them when they're at school with us. The difference will be that there is a cord that's taking our message to them rather than an open classroom. And we hope that that will still provide them with the opportunity to feel good about the days ahead, to feel confident that they're learning and continuing their quality education, and that the world will once again be peaceful and, quote, normal. So, we've got a lot to share with you. First, we're very, very grateful to our faculty who have worked extremely hard since we left school on March 13th to try to make this distance learning very, very comfortable, very simple, and also very high quality. We're excited to be starting classes this coming Monday, March 30th at 7:45 a.m., which is now our daily start time, 7:45 a.m. We'll be returning to a full-time schedule, which means that every day we'll have as many classes for your students as we did when they were here on the property before we ended on March 13th. Well, what does this mean and how are we going to do it? Teachers have already been sending messages to your children, to their students, via two portals or two methods. One, they've used their Catholic High email addresses to send them information about how classes will work this coming week. And they've also posted messages on what we call Power School Learning, or sometimes we call it Haiku. Your children know how to use both of those tools, Catholic High email and Power School Learning. And both of them are wonderful communication vehicles that we will continue to use tremendously throughout these distance learning days. So if your children have not been looking at Power School Learning, which they know how to access on their laptops, or have not been checking their Catholic High email, I'd ask you to please insist that they do that, because it will help them be better prepared for Monday morning. How are we going to do this? Well, the classes are going to be held on a platform called Zoom, which is software that your child will be able to access without any difficulty, without any cost. It's a video conferencing platform, and it will enable the teachers to literally be face-to-face with their students. They'll see the children will see them. They can talk to the students can answer back. It's going to be the closest thing to a real class that a school can provide, and it's a platform being used around the world invaluably in these days of distance living. Teachers will teach each of their classes 4 times a week, just like they did before March 13th. They'll follow the same basic schedule of classes. For example, if you were to say to your child right now, what classes do you always have on Monday? They'd be able to rattle them off in the order in which they happen. That's what's going to happen now. They'll still have the same classes on Monday in the same order, and on Tuesday and on Wednesday. So they know their schedules already. The actual timing will be slightly different because we have changed classes from 55 minutes in length, their normal time or duration, to 50 minutes on this new schedule. And we've also built in 10 minutes between classes, whereas when the students are on campus, there's a 5-minute passing time. We've sent out and will continue to send to your students the new, quote, bell schedule, although obviously there won't be any bells. So they'll know exactly what time each of their classes will begin. How will the classes meet and how will they begin? Your child will receive an invitation to each class digitally. The invitation will either come via an email or on their calendar. And all they need to do is click on the link that the email will have or that the calendar has, and it will open up Zoom and prepare them to be in the class. They need to show up in Zoom for that class by the time the class starts, which again the bell schedule will tell them. Every class will start on Zoom. Teachers have options for how they'll run their classes. They might spend all 50 minutes on Zoom video conferencing. It will depend a lot on what they're teaching, where they are in their curriculum, and whether they need to be face-to-face with the students the entire time, or whether they might simply introduce the class, give assignments, clarify those, let the students ask questions to be certain that they're all clear about the plan, and then end the video conference and allow the students to have the remaining 45 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever that is, before their next class to complete the work that the teacher has assigned as their class for that day. Teachers will also be assigning homework to be done outside the school day. So how long is a school day going to be now? They all start Monday through Friday at 7:45 a.m. with the first class of the day, and your child will know what that class is. The first class lasts 50 minutes, as do all the other classes they have that day. They'll have 5 classes on Monday and 5 classes on Friday, just like they do on a typical Cat High school day here at our campus. They'll have 6 classes on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Each class has a 50-minute block, although they might not be online for 50 minutes at all. So will your child be on screen for 5 or 6 50-minute blocks a day? No, not necessarily. They'll start every class online, but the teacher will then clarify the plan for that day. Also, every Monday morning, the teachers will send, or post rather, on PowerSchool Learning, their plan for the 4 classes of that week. So the students can look ahead and say, okay, I've seen all of my 6 or 7 teachers' plans for the week, and I know now that on Monday I'm going to have 3 50-minute video conferences and 2 brief introductions and free time the rest of that class. So by Monday, your child should know what the layout will be for the whole week, as far as whether the classes will be 30 minutes long, 50 minutes long, or 5 minutes long. Every class will be recorded and posted for students to view later. The blessing of that is that if your child has to be absent from a class for a family reason, perhaps, then they will be able to watch the entire class in its fullness by simply accessing the recording that was made by the teacher. The added beauty of that is if a student doesn't understand something, particularly in a class like math, where the teacher teaches it, and they listen to it once and realize I didn't follow that, they can simply replay the part of the lesson that they need to hear more than once until they're clear or confident about the content of that particular lesson or class. So all of these things will be made available and explained to your children as they start classes on Monday. They're going to be able to depend on their teachers to give them an excellent education throughout. How will the students receive extra help if they need it? In the past, they could talk to teachers about staying after school. In the past, the math department had math labs 3 days a week. All your child has to do is communicate either at the end of a class or during a class with the teacher, or email the teacher. Every teacher will announce how they'll be providing extra help for students so that your child will have hopefully a very clear understanding of what to do if they need additional teacher instruction over and above the class time that they'll have with that teacher. What is the dress code for students? Well, we hope, first of all, that your child will have a place where they can establish their computer, their materials as their work site. If there's not a dedicated site that they can keep for every day, at least we hope that there will be a table or a surface for every class that they can sit at with their computer, with a notebook, with their pens, pencils, with anything that that class requires, so that they will be able to work comfortably. Curling up with their laptop on a couch is not a good idea. So a workplace that's theirs will be very helpful and valuable if you can help provide that. What do they wear? Guys have to have a collared shirt on and have to basically have any part that we see of them in school dress code. And that pretty much should be a collared shirt. Guys don't have to be clean shaven. They'll love that. Girls, they can wear a top that's not collared. Guys can't. Just like they could have at Catholic High, but it has to have it cannot be low cut, it has to have sleeves, and none of the clothing that girls or guys wear can have any kind of offensive graphic or words that are visible. What can you do to help your child be successful during these days and weeks of distance learning? Well, first of all, we did email to you this week a document created by our diocese called a Continuity of Learning and Community Plan for Parents and Students. It spells out what we hope you will understand about distance learning and also your child. Please help them to follow the recommendations and the qualifications in that document. And as we said before, having a place to work will be extremely helpful for your child. What if something happens and your child can't attend a class on a certain day? Or maybe they're sick and they can't attend the whole day. Like always, if your child is going to miss a day, we ask that you call us each morning, 436-6400, before 8 o'clock, and let us know that your child will not be in school that day. And we will know that we should automatically mark them absent. If a child misses a day or many, they'll still, as we said, be able to view the class after the fact, and that will be an expectation of every teacher. So the child won't have to say, Mr. Jones, I missed your class on Tuesday. What do I do now? But they'll be able to say, Mr. Jones, I missed your class Tuesday, but I watched it in its entirety and I'm good. Or, I have a question. So that is going to be a tremendous addition to our normal way of functioning. The reality that no child will ever truly have to miss a class. Each teacher will explain to the students how to access those recorded sessions so that the child can at any time call up a class whether they missed it or not. How does a student hand in homework or assignments? Well, each student has, as they have had, access to PowerSchool Learning. Teachers will download documents to them, and they will also ask the students to upload documents back to them. That will be the simplest way that homework can be handed in. Or it could also be emailed in, whatever the teacher clarifies as their preferred method of receiving information from the students. I mentioned earlier that every class begins at 7:40, every day, begins at 7:45. What time does it end? Well, on this new schedule, Monday has 5 classes. Monday begins at 7:45 and ends at 1:35, as does Friday, which also has 5 classes. But Tuesday through Thursday, when we run 6 full classes, students will begin at 7:45 and the day will formally end at 2:35. Those end times are the times when teachers might offer to tutor students or have a short video conference with a group of students who have questions or want extra help. Teachers' formal office hours are 7:45 to 3 each day, which means that those are the hours during which time they'll be receiving and viewing and responding to email. If an email is sent to a teacher at 5 p.m., that teacher might choose to access their emails in the evening and answer it, but they will not have to answer emails after their office hours end at 3 p.m. because they still have plenty of planning and grading to do each day. But we will commit to giving you an answer to your emails within a 24-hour period. So you will receive a response in a timely manner. How do you get questions answered if you have them? Well, we will have our front office staffed each day from 7:30 to 3:30 as it has been all year long. Mrs. Lipscomb will be present. She'll be at the end of the phone. I recommend that you call whenever you can rather than come, because we're trying to do everything we can to help her maintain a quarantined presence. So she will be available, but we're trying not to have her open the doors or admit anyone. So please call with your questions if you have them, or as always, email the teachers or the administrators for whom you have a given question. All of this, of course, is our plan for the foreseeable future. Right now, our directions have been that this period will last until April the 16th, when we could be returning to class. You might want to know what's going to happen about all the activities of the year. Well, right now, when we're still closed and we aren't sure when we'll reopen, we're trying to build a plan for both the possibility that we will be open for activities before the year ends, and the possibility that we might not be, contingency plans. Some things outright have to be canceled. The prom has been. There's no way to hold a prom maintaining 6-foot distance and a limit of 10 persons in a room. The senior trip, unfortunately, has been canceled, unless the doors open and there's some way that we can make a trip happen. But we're still planning to have a graduation ceremony as long as the whole world isn't totally shut down. Even if we're not back in school, we will still have a graduation ceremony for our class of 2020. And we'll do everything we can to keep the remainder of this school year a very positive, enjoyable one for your students. We're planning some activities that will be virtual to try to make that happen. We will inform you by email, so I ask you to please, as parents, check your emails daily. It's the only mode we have to easily keep everyone in the loop, and that will be critical. Thank you for all you'll be doing to help us make the quality education we want for your children and the enjoyable experience of the next 3, 6, 9 weeks to be what it can be. Thank you for your support of Catholic High School. Remember, in case you've forgotten, the auction's still ongoing until this Sunday night at 9 p.m. when it ends, and there's still some great items and some great bargains you can get. Thank you for your support. God bless, and we certainly hope to see you in the face-to-face soon. Thank you.